Rewind. Shameless.
United in the Europa League. Europa League. Me tell them one time and we say Europa League.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well, having a good Wednesday. It's Wednesday, means it's press conference day, and it's a special Europa League, especially if you heard that intro. It's a special Europa League press conference reaction video. Of course, Flex was out there in Spain. Oh, the travel they had to get there, by the way. The travel they had to get there. Their flight was cancelled, then they had to go through Germany to get to Spain. It was a madness, but they were there. Flex had his question to Erik Ten Hag and Casemiro, who joined the Manchester United manager in San Sebastian ahead of Manchester United's crucial Europa League finale. The group stage finale tomorrow night away. It's a big game, massive game. Have to win by 2 clear goals to top the group and avoid those Champions League sides that are coming in to the Europa League. Some big Champions League sides as well. So I hope everyone is doing very well. I hope everyone's having a good Wednesday evening. I say evening because it's a late one, isn't it? Yes, we've seen this recently when Manchester United travel away in the Europa League. They like to do their training in the morning. They then like to travel, and then Erik Ten Hag has his press conference. So the assembled media, including Flex, was there in Spain for this one. As I mentioned, we've got so much to get into. There's updates on Jadon Sancho. There's updates on Anthony Martial. Flex asked the question we've been talking about. If you tuned into the Full View Monday, there was a big David De Gea debate discussion about playing out from the back, De Gea playing with his feet, his distribution, and Erik Ten Hag said very openly about what he prefers. He also spoke about a variety of different topics. Casemiro also said what it's been like working under Erik Ten Hag, his qualities in comparison to some of the great managers he's worked for or worked under during his career, the likes of Zidane, Ancelotti. Where does Ten Hag fit into all of that? So it's absolutely brilliant and really exciting stuff to get into. So as I mentioned, guys, be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. Remember, before we get into everything, housekeeping as always, you can join the UV Members Club. Links in the video description below. It's also the pinned comment in the live chat. You get your badges, your emojis, your exclusive members only content. A brand new episode of UV Raw actually dropped on Monday. It was the behind the scenes look at the Arsenal game, which I know feels like a lifetime ago, but it's well worth a watch because there was a massive storm on the way back and KG had to give Josh a lift home. It is top tier stuff. So if you haven't already, be sure to check that out. I hope everyone is doing very well. You know me, as always, I always like to go through these press conferences in a linear fashion, question by question, in a chronological order. But, of course, Flex was there. He was there in Spain, asked a question to Erik Ten Hag, then a follow-up question to Casemiro. We've got the footage here. So let's see first what Flex had to ask Ten Hag and Casemiro and see their both respective responses.
Hi, Eric. I wanted to ask you about David De Gea. We've seen him sweeping and, distribution is improving. Is that something that you're asking him to improve, and do you think he can continue to improve on that at this stage of his career? Or do you see it as a situation of he's fantastic, still making saves, match-winning saves, and you're not too fussed about how he is with his feet in the modern-day game? There's a lot of hysteria about keepers need to be able to play long passes, short passes, but what's the focus for you?
Focus for me, main part from goalkeepers always had to clean sheet, protect his goal. That's main part. But nowadays football is also important. You can do something with feet, and maybe I don't know. There was maybe in the past a different style for him. But from the first day I was here, but also before I saw some video content, and you see David is capable to do it. When I see David playing in our possession game, he's very composed, he's very good, ask them in boxes, so it's no problem for David to do that. And I think also he proves it the last games that in that fact he will grow and grow. And the other part, what is the most important, keep doing that, keep progressing, and get more clean sheets.
And to Casemiro, there's been so much asked of why Casemiro is so important to us. I wanted to ask Casemiro, you've played under top managers Ancelotti and Zinedine Zidane. How has it been working under Erik, and what do you think he can add to your game, even though you're so experienced and have achieved so much?
Well, I believe that knowing, or after being in football for quite a while, despite the fact that I'm only 30, the obsession for winning his obsession for winning is what surprised me the most. I think he's got many strengths. We all know it's a process and we are growing together, but we all see that he wants to win, but he's obsessed by, his obsession for teaching us and leaving everything perfect to the millimeter. That is key. His obsession for winning is something that only a few managers have. It's something I've only seen in very few managers.
Excellent stuff there, as always. Flex absolutely killing it in the press conferences, asking the fantastic questions, asking questions that I think everyone gets a lot of enjoyment out of, lots of detail, doesn't maybe focus on the sort of, more salacious aspects of football, tactics, what's it been like working under this manager, fantastic stuff. And as I always say, and because also we'll get through the questions as we go through the show, but I saw watched that Beth was in there from United Stand as well. And as I say every single week, and I truly, honestly do mean it, it's not just words coming out of my mouth. I think it's fantastic to have other YouTube channels like us, having fan content, less, or not even fan content, just less traditional content in there, or less traditional media in there. I think it's fantastic, and I think it's just, it's the evolution, isn't it, of what football content and football journalism and football fandom really is. So it's fantastic, and everyone I thought did a fantastic job. And shout out to everyone involved. And I don't think they were in there today, but when Stretford Paddock, I saw they were on tour, and it's fantastic as well. Really is fantastic. So great stuff. So to get into what he said, if you are just joining us now, Flex did ask first of all about David De Gea, talking about the sweeping and the distribution improving. Is that something you're asking him to do? What's your primary focus when it comes to a goalkeeper? Is it a case of finding the balance between being able to play out from the back, or is the main focus being a goalkeeper, keeping the ball out of the net? And Ten Hag said, the focus for me, and it's quite interesting this, isn't it? Because he revealed his focus for a goalkeeper is to get clean sheets, protect his goal. Of course, it is football, and football has evolved and football has changed. So you do have to be able to work with your feet. You do have to be able to sweep. You do have to be able to be comfortable to deal with the ball under pressure, with the ball at your feet instead of it being in your hands. And possibly it is a different style for David De Gea. But he did stress, and I think this is really key here, he did stress, since I've been here and before, I've seen on video content, De Gea is capable. It's no problem for David to do that. I think he proves in his last games that he'll grow and grow, keep progressing and get more clean sheets. So this kind of, I think, honestly, reflects what I was saying on the full view on Monday, and it's not a case of, I told you I was right, because you probably, you might disagree with me, but I still think that Ten Hag really, truly hasn't made up his mind on David De Gea at this point. There's going to come to a point where he's going to have to make up his mind, and that time is going to come sooner rather than later, because De Gea's contract is expiring, and he's on a big wage, so a decision has to be made. Okay, do we extend on reduced terms? We don't really want to trigger that extension for an extra year, considering he's on a massive wage, or do we want to move on, have a clean break, and find someone else, find someone younger, and find someone better at being more comfortable with their feet? Or are we happy with what we've got, and can we find a solution with David De Gea between the sticks? And I don't think at this stage that Ten Hag has made up his mind on that. I think that you see how De Gea performed at the weekend. He won us that game, and he was capable. He was what's the right word? He was okay with the ball at his feet. I thought his sweeping was good, and his position, actually, his positional sense all season has been good. He has been starting up higher up at the pitch and higher up as a starting position than he had done previously, and that's something that he's improved very quickly. I think he is getting better with the ball at his feet. I don't think he's ever going to be an Edison or an Alisson level with the ball at his feet, because that's not the keeper he is, but certainly there's room for improvement, and we have seen improvement, and he can do things between the sticks that other goalkeepers just can't. So I don't think Erik Ten Hag's made his mind up just yet. I think Ten Hag is going to give De Gea the benefit of the doubt. I think, like he has with other players, he's going to see what can you do between now and January, or what can you do between now and the end of the season, and then we'll make our mind up there. Now, that doesn't mean, because we've seen those reports, those rumours, that doesn't mean that in the background Manchester United aren't looking at other keepers. That doesn't mean Manchester United haven't hired this, was it a recruitment analyst to search for goalkeepers. That doesn't mean that United aren't scouting other keepers, because they should. You always should. You should always prepare for all outcomes, especially a club like Manchester United. And if Ten Hag's still undecided on what he truly wants from his goalkeeper, he should have every single possibility in front of him, available to him at a moment's notice. So I don't think Ten Hag's really truly made his mind up on De Gea. I think that there has been improvement. I don't know what the level is that he's hoping De Gea will improve to, but we'll have to wait and see. Because I think it's a fascinating point. And as I spoke about Monday, I don't think it's completely cut and dry at this point. And most importantly, which a lot of people have been saying, most importantly, in terms of Erik Ten Hag, his primary focus or primary desire for a goalkeeper is that they keep clean sheets, and the rest kind of comes after that. So if Manchester United keep up their impressive defensive displays that they have been, 4 consecutive clean sheets at home, over 8 hours of football without conceding at home, you've got to translate that to away performances too, but that's very difficult to change. That's very difficult to want to change. So if you look at that, some people that have been saying, look, the goalkeeper position really isn't a priority. There are other positions that are a priority. They'll point to statistics just like that, and I think they're right to. So this isn't me sitting on the fence. I think I'm trying to get into the headspace of the Manchester United manager, and I don't think he's made that call just yet. I think he's a very tactile guy, Erik Ten Hag, and I think he's still assessing all of these options available to him. And the more David De Gea improves with his distribution, the more he improves with his sweeping, and most importantly, the more that he makes the saves that he does at the weekend and wins us the games like he did at the weekend, I think that the more chances are that he'll stay and United find a solution that isn't bringing in another goalkeeper. But it's still quite early to say, isn't it? So we'll have to wait and see with that. Now, obviously, the follow-up question by Flex was to Casemiro, saying that, look, you've played under some top managers during your career, the likes of Carlo Ancelotti, the likes of Zidane, winning Champions Leagues with all of them. In comparison, how is it working under Erik Ten Hag, and what can he add to your game that maybe the others couldn't? And I really like this because it just reinforces everything you like and you kind of know and people have said in the past about Erik Ten Hag, but it just reinforces all of it when he said, after being in football for quite a while, even though I'm only 30, his obsession with winning is what surprised me the most. And that is, it's music to the ears of Manchester United fans. Certainly it's music to the ears of this Manchester United fan, because this obsession with winning, it's not a given. And you would think it is, but it's not a given in every footballer. It's not a given in every manager. Every manager wants to win. Every manager wants to see their team be successful, but the ones that are truly obsessed with it, and that's the word, isn't it? Obsessed. You're obsessed. Like, every detail is thought about. Nothing is uncovered. Everything is thought about and considered. That's really what Erik Ten Hag brings to the table, and that's what I love to hear. As Casemiro said, I think he's got many strengths. We all know it's a process, and we're growing together. We want to win, and Ten Hag, is obsessed with teaching us and making us better to the millimeter. That obsession with winning is something I've only seen with very few managers. And again, it goes back to what we've all heard about Erik Ten Hag, really. This guy, he's obsessed with every single detail. He's, all he cares about is winning. And to that, remember that there was a clip of Luke Shaw against Chelsea when Casemiro had just scored. Ironically, Casemiro had just scored that goal, and Luke Shaw, I think it went out for a throw, and Luke Shaw was doing sort of keepy-uppies or something like that, and Ten Hag is losing his mind on the touchline, losing his mind, saying, no, get back up the pitch, we can still win the game, That's the obsession. That's what you need to be truly successful in football nowadays. That's truly what you need, and it's just, again, it's music to the ears. Now, before I get to the rest of the questions, I do want to play this clip as well. Of course, Flex was at the press conference, but in addition to that, he was actually inside the stadium. So we've got a small clip of Flex inside the stadium prior to the press conference, prior to the game. Now, if you do enjoy this kind of content, we've got a ton of shorts that have been going up on the channel recently. Obviously, short form content, easy for me to say, and we've got a ton of these going up. It's a closer look because we're so blessed and fortunate to have great access to all of these grounds and match days, etc. So if you like this kind of content, this is for you. So here's a quick clip of Flex inside the stadium, then we'll get to the rest of the questions.
Okay, so we are pitch side here at the home of Real Sociedad the night before Manchester United take them on in the Europa League. About 35,000 fans, maybe 40,000. It does feel very, very big. It feels much bigger than that. But one of the guys was just saying to me it was about 35, 38,000 actually will be in here. Really, really nice stadium. Perfectly set for Manchester United to come here tomorrow night, get the 3 points, but most importantly, get the 2-goal lead or 2-goal gap that we need to progress at the top of the group. But I'm looking forward to it, man. Big, big game tomorrow night. Big, big game. Beautiful stadium. Casemiro and the translator and Andrew. Yep, there you go.
Now, I don't know if he touched anything. It must be said, I don't know if he touched any goalposts. I'm hoping not. You know, maybe we have to, fingers crossed it, to reduce any kind of judge that could be there. But well, I'll have to find out if he did touch anything. Riri has been a member of the UV Member Club for 5 months. 5 months of support. Big up, Riri. And says, best fan channel UV. Appreciate 5 months of support. Appreciate all of the support. Remember as well, you can join the UV Members Club. Links in the video description. You get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members-only content. Let's get to these questions, because that is why you're here. Samuel Lutkers asked Erik Ten Hag first what the latest was with Jadon Sancho and Anthony Martial. When would they be back? Ten Hag said Jadon was ill. Anthony Martial is still in rehab. He did train this morning, so we're going in the right direction. So, yeah, that is basically the latest when it comes to team news. No Sancho, no Martial, and on top of that, there's going to be no Anthony too. Anthony's still dealing with that knock that ruled him out of the game at the weekend. Sancho's ill, and Martial is still on the road back. It was strange because I did see some criticism of Martial on social media saying, oh, he misses another game. But at this stage, in my opinion, of course, massively frustrating that he's missed all of these games. And on top of that, you know, the reliability factor clearly isn't there at this point. But I know it's a massive game. I wouldn't say it's a season-defining game for Manchester United, though. You know, if the worst comes to the worst, we're still going through tomorrow night. It just means we'd have extra games. It's not the game, I don't think, to rush Anthony Martial back for and then him be out for even more time after that, realistically. We've got, after this, is it 3 games left before the World Cup? I don't think Martial should go to the World Cup because he's barely played any football. They should treat this World Cup time off as an extended pre-season for him. I don't know if he'll play any games for the World Cup. Maybe he'll play 1 or 2. But realistically, they need to wrap this guy up in cotton wool. They need to treat him like they treated Varane, put him on a special program and not rush him back. Not that they did before, because I don't think they did. These are different injuries. It's not been a reoccurrence of the same injury. But the point being that we've experienced rushing players back when they shouldn't be coming back, and we've seen what happens. So if, as Ten Hag said, he still needs to complete the rehab. Will he be available for Sunday? Who knows? Will he be available for next week? Who knows? The important thing is he gets back and he has this sustained level of fitness. But that doesn't change the fact that possibly January, it's unlikely, but definitely next season, we need a number 9. We need a number 9. We need a striker, and we need someone that is going to score goals, but we can rely on to play for actually, you know, the majority of the season, certainly. Next question was to Casemiro, saying, since you came back into actually starting for the team's not lost any games. How have you improved the team? Now, it must be said, initially, we did not get any translation. So Casemiro was speaking in Spanish, or I guess Portuguese. So I didn't understand any of it, because I wish I could speak Spanish or Portuguese. It's one of my big regrets that I didn't learn a second language. Even though I did actually learn, I took a second language. I took 2 during secondary school, but now nothing. He said, the most important thing is that we are growing. We are becoming a very solid team. Next question was to Erik Ten Hag, saying how we know how the congested, really, the fixture list is going to get. So how important is it to top this Europa League group and miss the 2 games in February? Ten Hag said, it's clear, eh? Obviously, it's important. We can win tomorrow night. We know what we have to do. We have to win by a 2-goal margin. But if you want to win a trophy, you have to win all of the games, and we have to win every single one. And it is true, that is, if you're not aware, we have to win the game by 2 clear goals tomorrow, 2 goals rather, tomorrow, because obviously Real Sociedad came to Old Trafford, they beat us 1-0, but the way that it works, it's not goal difference, it's goals head to head, and then it gets into goals for and then it gets into... It's very complicated. Basically, the simple way of saying it, if we beat Real Sociedad by 2 goals or more tomorrow, we will top the group. That's the simple part of it. So we know what we've got to do tomorrow. We've got to do, what we haven't actually been doing completely recently, and that's be clinical. We have been scoring goals, but we've been having lots of chances and maybe winning games 1-0 when we could have won them 2 or 3-0, or getting goals early in the game. What I'd like to see tomorrow is Manchester United get an early goal and set that standard, because I do think we'll get chances earlier on in the game. I do think we'll get chances earlier on, but it's a case of taking them, not making it cagey, and not leaving us too much to do late on. So we know what we have to do tomorrow. We've got the players to do it, even with not having Sancho, not having Martial, not having Antony. We still do have Marcus Rashford, Cristiano Ronaldo, people like Alanga, people like Garnacho, people like Casemiro, people like Christian Eriksen, people like Bruno Fernandes. There's a lot of attacking talent in there that is, more than enough to get those goals, and that's what we have to do. So we know clearly what we have to do. Red Baron says, Owen, you can still learn a new language. Don't complain about regret when you can still do it. You're absolutely right. I'm setting standards for myself or limitations rather for myself that I still could do. The problem is, Red Baron, is I'm incredibly lazy. I'm incredibly lazy. I'm one of those people that wishes that I did it when I was younger so I didn't have to do the work now, if that makes sense, which is a very bad mindset to have. You can absolutely learn a new language. You're still, even when you get older, it's not unlimited to what you can do and can achieve. Absolutely. The next question was to Erik Ten Hag, saying, what difference do you think you'll see in your team from the game that we saw at Old Trafford when, of course, you lost to Real Sociedad? Does it matter about needing to win by two goals? Ten Hag said it was 6 weeks ago. It's a different team. Not all the players then were fit. We're growing, developing, making good progress. We know it's difficult to win games here, but we like the challenge. We know we have to win by 2 goals. We have a plan for that, and we will do everything to get it done. And he's right, actually, because think back, cast your minds back to that game, that first Europa League group stage game at Old Trafford, and it does feel like a different team at this point. Of course, there were similar players involved there, but I think, what was that, Casemiro's first start ever for Manchester United? He'd had a couple of substitute appearances then, but Maguire was playing. This is before the international break. Maguire played, and he wasn't great. Ronaldo played, missed a couple of chances. I recall it being a really, really poor game, a really bad game to watch. Not a lot really in it. I think that goalkeeper might have made a couple of good saves. I think he was good with the ball at his feet. I recall that as well. Obviously, to be honest, we were really unlucky to lose. We did not deserve to lose that game. Didn't deserve to win it, but we definitely didn't deserve to lose that game because there was that penalty decision involved in it, which, again, look, in retrospect, unbelievable. Absolutely madness. I know it was 6 weeks ago, but talk about a terrible decision. It was on Lisandro Martinez, wasn't it, where he closes in and it skips up off his thigh and his hand's here and it hits his hand and they go handball. What a load of nonsense. what a load of nonsense. So, yeah, I mean, but it does feel like such a long time ago. So much has happened since then, and we have developed positively since then. So I agree with what Ten Hag was saying. It's a different team at that point. I think also he realised that maybe he couldn't rotate maybe as much as he would have wanted to in the Europa League. Because I think he made, what was it that day, 5 changes, I think it was. And he hasn't really done that as much since then. He's played it pretty much the first team over and over again. So there is a lot of a difference. It's a different Manchester United side, completely different mentality. We're playing far better football at this point. We're dominating the games more. We're creating more chances. We're playing more attacking football. And we're defensively more solid. So I think we're in a really good patch of form. We're getting closer to how the manager wants us to play. So it's a completely different game. And on top of that, Real Sociedad, they're missing a lot of players. I think it's something they've got 7 players out. David Silva played against us at Old Trafford, and he was actually pretty decent. He was rolling back the years. And he's not available tomorrow. So I think it's a completely different game. And I think United should be confident going into it. Now, the next question was, do you expect a less proactive Sociedad team than usual due to them not needing to win? I guess, could we see a similar performance to a Spurs like last night, where they parked everyone behind the ball because they knew they only needed a point. They just couldn't lose the game. Ten Hag said, I think their coach likes poetic football or proactive football. They want to play, and I think they will stick to that. If it's a different approach, we will adapt, but we know what to do. I don't think that they'll do that. I don't think they'll they'll change the way they play. It's not really in the sort of Spanish football philosophy or ideology. Casemiro kind of said that when he was asked it later on in the press conference. Says, a lot of the teams in Spain do play in a similar style. That's why people like Atletico Madrid, who, by the way, aren't even in Europe at all. They came 4th in their group. They're not dropping down to the Europa League. But he said that, a lot of the Spanish teams play the same, and they've got such a strict and rigid ideology and style of football and methodology of football that I'd be very surprised to see them change that and park the bus and get 11 behind the ball. Of course, they'll have strong defensive shape. Yes, they'll get when United have the ball, and I think they'll have quite a bit of the ball, even though Spanish teams like to have possession. I think they'll have a strong defensive shape and good structure, but I can't see them just giving us the ball and saying you can have it because we're going to be in this defensive shape. They just won't do that because I don't think that's in their ideology and their mindset, in my opinion. So I don't expect them to change. The only thing that could force the change, to be honest, could just be not having all of those players available, as I touched on. Having 7 players missing, sometimes you are forced to change and adapt with who you've got available to pick from, and they don't have a lot. So that could be the change, but I don't necessarily truly expect that. Be sure to smash a like on the like button, guys. Be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right-hand corner. Let's do a quick like check, see where we're at. We've got nearly 500 people watching, only 116 likes. We can do it. You can do it. You can do better. So be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner as well, actually. Let me know your predictions for tomorrow. We'll get your predictions up on the screen. You know me, in these solo streams, we can get your comments up on the screen, such as Ramon saying, disgrace, it's a disgrace, it's a cheat, as Ty would like to say. And also Josh likes to say that a lot at the moment. And the problem is it's infectious, it's contagious. I find myself in daily life at this point saying things are a disgrace, saying things are a disgrace or a cheat, and people are giving me the most bizarre look because they're like, that's very harsh, for you to talk to, I don't know, not having any milk left. Oh, it's a disgrace, it's a cheat. What? Forget it. Tavislav says 3-1. Chandere says 4-1. Jonas says winner. They're going to win the Europa League. Well, can't do that tomorrow, but so we can be on our way. I am Kang. Oh, Kang the Conqueror. Did you see that Ant-Man trailer? Oh, if you haven't, recommend it. Absolutely brilliant. But he says 3-1 to United, Rashford, Garnacho and CR7 as the goal scorers, which is good because Kang's a time traveller. So if Kang's saying that, that would imply that he's already seen the result. If he's seen the result and he's saying 3-1, I rely on Kang, although Kang's very villainous. So he would be the person to lie to. So big up Kang. What was the next question? The next question was to Ten Hag. He was asked, are these sort of games when you'll learn about your side? A big pressure game, need to get a result, people will be watching, the pressure's on. Is this when you're going to learn about your team and see how far that they've come? And Ten Hag said, I don't think you speak about how far you've come in the autumn. You can't win anything at this moment. It's game by game, and we have to win every game. And he's kind of said that a lot recently. He said that a lot about Manchester United. Whenever he's been asked, are you happy with the development that you've seen in the side? Or how far do you think you can go? Or in comparison to the first couple of games, how far do you think you've come since then? And he always says, well, I don't think now's the time. I don't think now's the time to assess. I think that should be at the end of the season. It's that phrase, isn't it? You can't win trophies now, but you can lose them. And it's true. We can't win the Europa League tomorrow. Realistically, we can't lose it tomorrow either. So I guess it doesn't fit into that into that quote. But the point being, we can make it much more difficult for ourselves if we don't do what we have to do tomorrow, because it'll mean extra games, tougher opposition, and you always want in tournament football, in cup football, to have the easiest route to the final. I know people will say, well, you've got to beat whoever, the best teams anyway. You don't. I always push back on that. You don't have to beat the best teams. Let the competition eliminate themselves. Have the easiest route to the final. People can say that's the coward's way out. Call me a coward. I don't care. I'd want to have the best and easiest route to the final. That's how tournament football works. You give yourself the best opportunity at winning the thing, and we can do that by topping the group, avoiding some of those Champions League sides, and avoiding 2 extra games when we've got so many games to play this season anyway. But to Ten Hag's point, even if we don't get that win tomorrow, I guess you could say it says a little bit about Manchester United's mentality, that pressure game that they didn't win. But Manchester United have also have also won pressure games this season too. When the pressure's been on, we've beat Arsenal, we've beat Spurs, we've beat Liverpool. We came back from 1-0 down in the dying seconds against Chelsea. It didn't work out against Man City, clearly. But in those pressure matches where we've had to get results, we have. So I think he would have learned a lot about his team then. And you also learn a lot about your team from the games that you don't play well and you lose. So every game's a learning day for Erik Ten Hag. So again, as he said, you can't win the tournament tomorrow. But certainly we can make it a lot more difficult for ourselves, certainly. Casemiro then was asked a question in Spanish, which I didn't hear because I wish I spoke it, but we did get a translated response. I think he was basically asked, you're familiar with how Sociedad play, how challenging is that going to be for United? And he said, quote, practically every team likes to play like that, good football, but no matter what Sociedad play, what is important, how we play tomorrow. And that, again, going back to mentality with Casemiro, that's the mentality you need. That's the mentality you need. It's not about the opposition. Sir Alex Ferguson, and I'm always cautious to bring up Sir Alex when I talk about Manchester United nowadays, because people will say, well, we're not managed by Sir Alex anymore, and that was a different time, this, that, and the other. And football's evolved. But Manchester United in the past, and the biggest and best teams really do, the biggest and best teams worry about the opposition to an extent, depending on who they are. But if you're big enough and you're good enough, all you have to worry about is yourself. If I perform well, if we perform well, we will win. It doesn't matter what they do. We are the better team. We have better players. So because of that, if we play to the best of our ability or close to that, we will win that game. And that's the mindset you have to have. That's the mindset of top elite footballers should have. It's not about the opposition. It's not about them. It's about us. Once you start focusing so much on them, then you take your mindset off of yourself. And again, sometimes you have to do that in those big games against top quality players, top quality sides. You can't ignore what Kevin De Bruyne is going to do. You can't ignore what Erling Haaland's going to do, or Mo Salah's going to do, or Mbappe, Neymar, Messi, whoever. You can't ignore what they're going to do. But at the same time, against, I'm not being disrespectful, but lesser opponents, you have to be focusing really on yourself. It's about yourself. It's about your own ability. It's about your own performance level. And that's what's the most important thing there. Ten Hag was then asked, when you look at the quality of the clubs that are coming down from the Champions League, could it prove fatal to you going further? And Ten Hag said, clear. You face a heavy opponent, but we like those challenges. If you want to win the trophy, then you have to beat them all. Now, again, as he would say, we're not scared of anyone. We're not afraid of anyone. We like those challenges, but you want to avoid them. Tournament football, that is what it is. Obviously, you would never say publicly, I don't want to play the best sides or the hardest sides, because that isn't the right necessarily mentality to have. The correct mentality is, we can beat any or all teams. It doesn't matter who we face. But tournament football is, you want to have the easiest run to the final. You do. You do. You want to peak at the right time. It's not always the right way, and I guess the most important thing isn't necessarily just the quality of the opponent, it's the games, isn't it? It's the amount of games that you have in a season that's so congested, and the Premier League goes back earlier than anyone else after the World Cup. By February, the teams are going to be on their feet, absolutely exhausted. So we don't want to have those extra games. We don't want to have those extra Thursday, Sunday matches, and we can avoid that by winning by 2 goals tomorrow. So obviously we want to beat every opponent, but it's you still want to have the easiest route possible, certainly. The next question, as I mentioned, it wasn't just us that was in there when it came to fan channels. Beth from United Stan was in there. Excellent question. And as I say, always, and it's so true, it's great to see all fan channels and non-traditional media in there. So shout out to her. She asked about Diogo Dalot. Of course, Dalot's been playing so many minutes at the moment for Manchester United, pretty much every single game, and his performances are getting better and better and better. Came into so much acclaim at the weekend for his performance. To many, was man of the match. But is there a concern about playing so many games, and can he keep progressing? Ten Hag said, I hope he keeps progressing. Not only stick to this level, our approach is good, is not good enough. You have to do better. It's not the first time he said that. We are really happy with the development of Diogo, but I know every club at the top needs backup and competition. I think we can replace him with Victor, Malacia, and luckily Wan-Bissaka is back in the club. It's heavy when you have to play every game, but he is physically a good profile, and he needs to keep developing. We're confident he will do that. And again, Diogo Dalot, recently, I think has been absolutely fantastic. His performances are getting better and better. Again, I thought he was unlucky on Sunday to not be man of the match. I know that some people might disagree with that, but his work rate, his work ethic, he was everywhere. I think that again, he's been a constant in Manchester United's backline, which has changed quite a bit throughout the season, let's be honest. You obviously, Shaw and Malacia have been fighting for their spot. Varane's been injured. Lindelof's been ill. Maguire's been injured. So it's only been Martinez and Dalot that are the really constants in there. And I think Dalot's performances have been improving and improving. However, and I think a lot of people are right when they say this, that despite him being one of the most physically fit players in the squad, one of the most durable players in the squad, playing constantly 90 minutes, 2-3 times a week, it's not sustainable. It's not. And you do need to have that ability to rotate. You do need to have that player that can provide competition and can provide cover if Dalot needs it. And whilst Ten Hag can say, well, we've got Lindelof, we've got Malacia, and Wan-Bissaka can come back, that they're not the options that really Erik Ten Hag wants. You don't really want to be playing Victor Lindelof at right back, because I think his partnership with Lisandro Martinez in the absence of Rafael Varane has been very, very good. You don't really want to be playing Terrell Malacia at right back because he's a left back. You don't really want to be playing a left foot at right back. It has worked in the past. Dennis Owen was both footed, and you do have the rarity that can play in both positions. But Malacia, you want his competition to be with Luke Shaw at left back, and Wan-Bissaka clearly isn't Erik Ten Hag's guy. Erik Ten Hag doesn't rate him. So we need to resolve that, and that might be what we do in January. And Ten Hag several times in the media has said, we need competition, and every club needs 2 quality people at right in the fullback area, and he's basically saying that Wan-Bissaka isn't that. So again, I think like the summer, it will depend on what happens with Wan-Bissaka. If Wan-Bissaka does go out the door in January, then maybe, just maybe, we'll get a backup right back in. It's going to be difficult because it would appear that the real business that United are going to be doing in January is about tying people down to contracts or making decisions not to extend them. We've got so many people that are coming up towards the end of their contract, Rashford, De Gea, Fred, etc., that I think United are going to be focused on that. And it would appear that because they spent so much money in the summer, that they're not really interested in doing any business in January. And that could be to the detriment of someone like Dalot, that not that he needs the competition, but he needs the cover. That's really important. He needs the cover. And it would appear that he doesn't have that right now. So here's hoping that we do get some cover, some right back cover in January, certainly. Be sure to smash a like on the like button, guys. Be sure to subscribe as well. Bottom right hand corner, got over 500 people watching. See if we can get to 250 likes or 300. Next question was Casemiro, asking about how are you finding played in the Premier League, to La Liga. Once again, this is from Beth. And he said that teams like to play tiki-taki. Is it tiki-taka or tiki-taka? I always get this wrong. Football in Spain, but they're 2 entirely different competitions, so they've got two entirely different playing styles, intensities, etc. He was then asked, Casemiro, which is an interesting question. You know the answer, but it's an interesting question. Was saying that obviously there's an important question tomorrow, important game tomorrow, but we're now less than 20 days before the World Cup. So do you think about injuries going into the game? We've seen people like Paul Pogba, N'Golo Kante, Diogo Jota, etc., all miss out of playing in the World Cup because they've got injuries in such close proximity to the tournament. And Casemiro said, tomorrow's game is too important to start thinking about the World Cup. I think any player who thinks that will pick up an injury at the end. I'm not that profile. I'm focusing on tomorrow's game. And that is really all you can do. That's all you can do when you get so close to a game. You're always taught that when you play football when you're younger. It's the same logic. Don't go into a tackle half-heartedly. Don't go into a collision half-heartedly, because if you do, you're really likely to you'll hurt yourself. The moment you start having doubts or you start half-arsing things, you'll get hurt. And you can't go into a game worried about getting hurt. And I'm sure logic is human nature. I'm sure it's in the back of people's mind as close as you get to the World Cup, and dependent on your age as well, if it's possibly the last World Cup you're ever going to play in. Not that that'll be the case for Casemiro, but he is 30 when it comes around. He's 34, 35. It might be the last time he does go to a World Cup with Brazil. That'll be in the back of his mind, I'm sure. But you have to try your very best to block it out. And as Ten Hag has said, because of the close proximity to the season stopping and the World Cup starting, if anything, you want to be playing full focus. You want to be playing at full intensity, because you want to go into that tournament in good form. You want to go into that tournament peaking at the right time. And sometimes you're not going to be able to if you're going into these games of half intensity, worrying about missing out of the tournament because of an injury. So whilst it's logical, absolutely logical, that the players would think about that, you've got to do your very best to block it out, certainly. What's everyone saying in the chat as well? Let me have a look here. the KG settings on a press conference reaction, he was saying how much YouTube's Ten Hag, just here to hear him speak. Someone says a red card to City. I think the City game's going on at the moment as well. There's a discussion about who was man of the match. Dalot, David De Gea as well. J Bad Forever says, big up Owen, big up yourself too. Sim says, best World Cup ever, colour television was 1970 Brazil. I did see something, I think it was a tweet today, and a friend of mine sent it to me saying that obviously it's the first ever Winter World Cup coming up in a couple of weeks, and there doesn't feel like there's this sort of buzz or momentum about it like it is when it is in the summer. And it's true. It is true. You sort of, to be honest, I really haven't actually thought about it, and I haven't got the excitement about it that I would for a summer one. But I came to the conclusion to that was because there's still so much going on. We're still really in the throes of the season as a United fan, certainly, and I can only speak for myself, that I'm still thinking about tomorrow's game, and I'm still Sunday's game, and then the EFL Cup game, and all of these Premier League games. I'm not even thinking about England at the moment because you're still thinking about that. And usually when a World Cup's in the summer, the season ends, and then you've got that 2 or 3 weeks where the build-up then starts to happen. You start watching all the World Cup programs, you start getting excited, but that hasn't really been the case. You haven't really had time to get excited about that. So I don't know about you. Let me know your thoughts about that in the live chat as well. KG Wildin has been a member for 3 months. Appreciate 3 months of support. Says, I'm speechless about KG's behaviour in the Flex and KG show. Was that about him saying we're one striker away from competing for the Premier League? I thought he was going to say it feels different or something like that. That'd be very KG for him to do. But it's KG's birthday as well tomorrow, by the way, guys. So if you want to wish him a happy birthday in advance, you can do so. Hit him up on social media at KG the Comedian. Next question to Ten Hag was about Cristiano Ronaldo. There's always got to be one. And it said, Cristiano Ronaldo, how does he feel? He started playing again recently. Does he feel more comfortable? How is he feeling? What can he bring? Ten Hag said, well, in terms of feelings, you have to ask him and not me. He's professional. He's in the group. He's an important part of this group. He's a threat for every defence. You know that in Spain, and you have to keep an eye on him. Ten Hag was then asked about how important it is to have Casemiro in this squad with all of his experience, and how has he progressed so far. Ten Hag said, quote, you see him growing game by game, and also our team is growing, so we're really happy with the progress, but we have to keep that process going. We are not satisfied, and we have to keep getting better. As Ten Hag kept saying in this press conference, he said it a million times, good is not good enough. That might as well be his catchphrase. Good is not good enough. We're not settling for good, we're settling for the best. That's it. And he's right. He's absolutely right. And I think we really have seen the progression of Casemiro so far. I think sometimes, obviously, you can get too caught up in statistics. You can get too caught up in stats. Stats can fit a narrative, and stats can tell you something that the eye really doesn't sometimes. But Casemiro, since he has started starting games for Manchester United, we haven't lost. That's one. On top of that, we've got the most recoveries in the league. He wins the ball back the most. He really positively affects the game. I didn't even think myself. I thought a lot about how important he can be actually in terms of finding forward passes. I think if anything, I'll hold my hands up. I did a disservice to him because I thought he was just going to be a defensive midfielder and winning the ball back. But actually, he's so effective in passing the ball forward and breaking the lines. As I've said, it's such a fantastic change of pace to have. Instead of just having Bruno that we think, well, I hope Bruno can find a pass or find the right passes or find a bit of creativity. We've now got 3 people that can all do that. Bruno Fernandes, Christian Eriksen, and Casemiro can all find passes, all have great vision that players previously in the side didn't have. It's just that element of quality that we're missing massively. And Casemiro's been vital in that. And it's not so much, if you this season you were saying McTominay over Casemiro, you're in the mud, because I don't think that was the case. Earlier on this season, in my opinion anyway, it was Casemiro wasn't starting games because they'll take time for him to adjust. But also at the time, we were winning games and Scott McTominay was playing well. And Ten Hag, it was important, I think, almost from a team perspective, to prove to the team if you're playing well, you'll be in the side. Once we lost that game, Casemiro came in. We haven't lost since, and there's no reason for McTominay to replace Casemiro since then. And Casemiro is a far better footballer than Scott McTominay is, or most likely ever will be. That was never in question. It was just a case of who's in form at the time and who's doing well and how you manage a group of players properly. So He's vital to us, Casemiro, absolutely vital. Now, a follow-up question to Ten Hag about Casemiro was, in the past, certainly in the more recent history of United, we've seen United buy players who have achieved so much elsewhere and not really achieved anything at Manchester United. What did you see in him that was different from those players? Ten Hag said, he told me he needed a new challenge because at Real Madrid, he won everything. He was a big part of Real Madrid and they didn't want, he really emphasised this, they didn't want him to go, but he had the feeling, I have to go to another club, another league to prove myself, and that shows his hunger. From the first day, he has come in with that attitude in every training, every match, and I really like it. He'll be more and more important to our team. And I think that's really key to see there as well. He didn't have to leave Real Madrid. Yeah, we saw the press conference that they threw for him. Yeah, we saw, them talking in reverence about him, and they put out all of the trophies he won at the club behind him, and it was a proper send-off, and he got emotional and he was crying. But this wasn't a case of Madrid forcing him out. He made the call, by all accounts, when I think he started on the bench for their first game of the season. And he said, well, I think my days are numbered here, and I've been thinking about leaving anyway, I'll go. But he was still playing games for Real Madrid. He was the man of the match in the Super Cup final. And he would have still been an important player for Real Madrid this season. But I think he just saw, the writing's on the wall. He still had 2 years left on his contract as well, I think, at Real Madrid. So he would have absolutely been a useful player to them. But because of what he did achieve and had achieved at Real Madrid, he said, I want to go. I hope you respect my wishes. They said, you've earned it. We wish you would stay, but we understand it as well. And make no mistake, the deal that Real Madrid got was a very good deal. We're talking, 70 million for a player 30 plus, one of the most expensive 30 plus players of all time. So it was very good for Madrid, and that probably sweetened the deal significantly. But the fact that at this stage of his career, he could have just stayed at Real Madrid and keep winning stuff. They're going to win stuff this season. But he wanted to go to another club, and not just any club as well. He wanted to go to a big club, one of the biggest, if not the biggest clubs in the world, in Manchester United. But it's not United in a really good state when he walked into it. It's not United that he's going in, we're guaranteed we're going to win the league every single season. This isn't 2007 or 1999 Manchester United, or just United in the 90s or the early 2000s. This is a Manchester United side that hasn't won the league in nearly a decade and hasn't won a trophy since 2017. This is a struggling Manchester United side. This is a Manchester United side that had the worst Premier League season ever last season. So, that shows his determination, his grit, his hunger, and we saw that when he scored against Chelsea as well. And we've continued to see it recently. So he's invaluable. He really is invaluable to Manchester United, no doubt about that. And then finally, there was those questions from Flex once again. Let me play that once more, because if you've just joined us now, Flex did ask a question to Erik Ten Hag about David De Gea, and then he asked Casemiro about what it was like working under Erik Ten Hag. Let's take a closer look at this once more, and then we'll wrap things up.
Hi, Eric. I wanted to ask you about David De Gea. We've seen him sweep in, and distribution is improving. Is that something that you're asking him to improve, and do you think he can continue to improve on that at this stage of his career? Or do you see it as a situation of he's fantastic, still making saves, match-winning saves, and you're not too fussed about how he is with his feet in the modern-day game? There's a lot of hysteria about keepers need to be able to play long passes, short passes, but what's the focus for you?
Focus for me, main part from goalkeeper is always to clean sheet, protect his goal. That's the main part. But nowadays football is also important. You can do something with feet, and maybe I don't know. There was maybe in the past a different style for him. But from the first day I was here, but also before, I saw some video content, and you see David is capable to do it. When I see David playing in our possession game, he's very composed. He's very good. He's very good. Ask them in boxes. So it's no problem for David to do that. And I think also he proves it the last games that in that fact he will grow and grow. And the other part, what is the most important, keep doing that, keep progressing, and get more clean sheets.
And to Casemiro, there's been so much asked of why Casemiro is so important to us. I wanted to ask Casemiro, you've played under top managers Ancelotti and Zinedine Zidane. How has it been working under Eric, and what do you think he can add to your game, even though you're so experienced and have achieved so much?
Well, I believe that knowing or after being in football for quite a while, despite the fact that I'm only 30, the obsession for winning is his obsession for winning is what surprised me the most. I think he's got many strengths. We all know it's a process and we are growing together, but we all see that he wants to win, but he's obsessed by, his obsession for teaching us and leaving everything perfect to the millimeter. That is key. His obsession for winning is something that only a few managers have. It's something I've only seen in very few managers.
There you go, big up Flex. Amazing questions as always, and as I always say, easy for me to say, after these press conference reactions, after we play those clips of Flex in the press conference, it really is because of you guys that we have the ability to go in there. It's because of your support. It's because of you tuning into streams like this. It's because of you clicking the like and clicking subscribe and all of your support that we only just hit 125k the other day. So I really do appreciate from all of us. And it's because of all your support. And I truly, really hope you enjoy watching these streams and these videos as much as I do, doing them and talking to you guys, interacting with you guys. So we really do appreciate it. Your support is amazing. And the UV community is ever growing, but it's still always the best. It's the number one, and certainly the number one in my heart. So there you go, guys. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. As mentioned, plenty of content to come in the next 24 hours. We've got Flex is going to have a preview from over there in Spain. It's over there. San Sebastian in Spain. He's going to give his preview. We're also going to have a full match day tomorrow. So we've got the match view. We've got fan views from in Spain, from UVHQ as well. Got some plenty of amazing stuff. Have a great Wednesday, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Peace.